Hey, what's up guys? Hardleg Joe here, coming at you with your weekly What a Deck profile. This week, Gladiator Beast Toolbox. I'm just going to go through everything in here, and I'll explain how it works. So for monsters, we got 2 Gladiator Beast Augustus, 3 Noxious, 3 Licari, 3 Darius, 1 Equeste, 2 Bestiari, 1 Retiari, 1 Murmillo, and 3 Test Tiger. Our spells: 3 Onslaught of the Fire Kings, 3 Gladiator Proving Ground, 3 Book of Eclipse, and 3 Fire Formation Tenki. Our traps: 3 Waboku, 3 Defensive Tactics, and 3 Gladiator Beast War Chariots. For our extra deck, we've got 1 Gladiator Beast Heraklinos, 1 Nerokius, 2 Tamer Editor, 2 Gyzarus, 1 Esadari. We've got a Hope Harbinger, Utopia the Lightning, Utopia, Brotherhood of the Fire Fist, Tiger King, Baguska, Borolo Dragon, and 2 of the new Gladiator Beast Link that doesn't have an official English name yet. And I should note that I don't normally play cards that aren't out in America unless they're close to being released. The only reason I'm playing this is because I mistakenly thought it came out in Extreme Force, and by the time I found out, it was too late to make a new deck. Anyway, there's also a side deck. I'll go over that in a bit. So to start with, the Gladiator Beasts, if you're unfamiliar with them somehow, all the monsters have the same effect. At the end of the battle phase, if this card attacked or was attacked, you could shuffle it into the deck, special summon 1 Gladiator Beast monster with a different name. And then in addition to that, all the Gladiator Beasts I'm playing gain effects when they're summoned by the effect of a Gladiator Beast. Augustus summons another Glad Beast from the hand, but that monster is shuffled into the deck during the end phase. Noxious lets you dump a Gladiator Beast from your deck to the graveyard. Licari's original attack becomes 2100. Darius summons a Gladiator Beast in the graveyard, but its effects are negated, and it's shuffled into the deck if Darius leaves the field. This one lets you add a Gladiator Beast card from your graveyard to your hand. Bestiari destroys a spell trap, Retiari banishes a card from your opponent's graveyard, and Murmillo destroys a face-up monster on the field. So hopefully already you can see how the main deck monsters form kind of a toolbox. You attack with one of them, and then tag out for whichever effect you need, allowing you to pop troublesome spell traps and monsters, or banish key cards from the grave, or recycle your traps, whatever you need to do. The rest of the monsters are just here to help you swarm so that you can use your fusion monsters, which are the second aspect of the toolbox. There's 3 in particular you could choose from, which are good in certain situations. Heraklinos can discard a card during either player's turn to negate a spell trap, which is not a once per turn effect. Nerokius has a steamroller effect, so your opponent can't activate cards or effects when it attacks. And Gyzarus destroys up to 2 cards of the field, any kind, face up, face down, doesn't matter. There's also Esadari, but he's just a 2500 attack beatstick with no effect. It's really just there to be used in emergencies. All of these monsters are contact fusion monsters, so you don't need a spell to summon them, you just need to get the materials on the field. And not only that, but working with the theme of the Gladiator Beast, the materials are shuffled into the deck instead of being sent to the graveyard, so you can summon them back out again later. Now, while it's not too difficult to get the particular materials for any one fusion on the field, we're mostly going to be summoning them with this guy, Gladiator Beast Tamer Editor. Tamer has the effect that once per turn, you can special summon 1 Gladiator Beast fusion monster except itself from the extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. This is an effect that would be borderline broken if not for Master Rule 4 limiting the amount of extra deck monsters you can summon. So in order to use this in the current game, you're going to have to make their Link monster first. This Armored Eagle dude can be made by sending any 2 face-up Gladiator Beasts to the graveyard, and has the following effect. If a Gladiator Beast monster attacks, it can't be destroyed by battle, and your opponent's cards and effects can't be activated until after the battle step. In addition, this guy, along with Gyzarus and Nerokius, they could shuffle themselves back into the deck if they attack or are attacked, just like the main deck beasts. But instead of summoning out 1 monster, they summon 2. And this is important for reaching our win condition, which is pretty much the Link, plus Tamer, plus whichever big fusion you need for the moment. In order to reach the win condition, all you need to do is attack with the Link while you have Darius in your hand. You can also use Gyzarus or just any 2 main deck Gladiator Beast monsters instead of the Link, but it's usually better to use the Link because it can't be destroyed by battle when it attacks, your opponent can't activate anything. So it can go through even if your opponent has higher attack monsters and or battle traps. However you do it, the important part is you get 2 Gladiator Beast summons, and you want to use them to summon Noxious and Augustus. You'll use both of their effects, and you want to make sure, because all these are when effects, they can miss timing, Do Augustus first and Noxious second. So resolving backwards, Noxious will dump a Gladiator Beast into the graveyard, and then Augustus will summon a Gladiator Beast from your hand, which is why you need the Darius in your hand. Since Darius is summoned by a Gladiator Beast, its effect will activate, summoning whatever monster you dumped from the graveyard onto the field, which will give you 4 monsters. Whatever you dumped, Darius, Noxious, and Augustus. You use Darius and whatever it summoned in order to get the link, and then you use Noxious and Augustus to summon Tamer, because Tamer's 2 level 5 or higher Gladiator Beasts. And then because this has 2 link markers, you'll have 1 space open, and you can summon whatever you need, either Gyzarus to blow up your opponent's field, or Heraklinos in order to stun them next turn. And maybe occasionally one of the other ones if you feel like it. So now that I've explained that, everything else in the deck is just there to support that. Gladiator Proving Grounds lets you add any level 4 lower Glad Beast from your deck to your hand. Fire Formation Tenki lets you add a level 4 lower Beast Warrior monster from your deck to your hand, both of which will get you Darius to your hand. Of course, if you already have Darius, you can get any of the other ones. Lingoni's mostly useful because it has the highest attack, so oftentimes we go for that, especially with Tenki boosting it by an extra 100. This is also here and at 3 because you can summon it with Onslaught of the Fire Kings, which will help you get your link in 1 turn. This card is, if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters, you can summon a Fire Attribute, Beast, Beast Warrior, or Wing Beast from your deck, but its effects are negated and it's destroyed during the end phase. But you can use this to summon Lingoni, normal summon any other Gladiator Beast, and then wham bam, you have your link. You can also use this combo with any of your level 4, which most of your Gladiator Beasts are, to make any of your rank 4 Ixie monsters, or a Link 2 monster if you've played them. As for our last remaining main deck monster, there's Test Tiger. Its effect is if you control a face-up Gladiator Beast, you can special summon it from your hand, you contribute this card to target a Gladiator Beast, shuffle into the deck, and then summon out a Gladiator Beast, and it's treated as if it were summoned by the effect of a Gladiator Beast. And it's worth noting that it doesn't have to be a monster with a different name. If you have a Bestiari and a Test Tiger and you really want to pop a spell trap, you could shuffle this into the deck, and then immediately summon it right back out again and pop whatever spell trap they have. So not only is this useful to get any effect you want at any given time, but if you have another Gladiator Beast monster in your hand, then you can use it to summon Augustus, use Augustus to summon that monster from your hand, and then there's another way to get your link on the first turn without having to attack. Of our 4 remaining cards, 3 of them are just there to help you make it through battles, either so you can activate your monster's effects, or you can survive for a turn and get 2 monsters on the board the old-fashioned way to make your link. Wabaku and Defensive Tactics are practically the same. Both prevent you from taking battle damage and stop your monsters from being destroyed by battle for a turn. The only difference is that Defensive Tactics you can only activate if you control a Gladiator Beast, and it's put on the bottom of the deck instead of going to the graveyard. Book of Eclipse, meanwhile, is my spicy tech card of the week. It flips all monsters on the field face down, but during the end phase, your opponent's monsters are flipped face up, and your opponent draws 1 card for each. This is actually really good because it's non-targeting effect that will prevent your opponent's monster's effects from activating on your turn, and put them in defense position so that you can attack into them with whatever you have without losing your monsters. And as long as you clear their monsters, or at least flip them face up before the end phase, then they don't get to draw anything, so there's not really any downsides. And usually between your monster attacks and Gyzarus' effect blowing things up, it's not that hard to get rid of everything. And other than that, we just have War Chariot, a simple counter trap, lets you negate any monster effect as long as you have a face-up Gladiator Beast. Good on its own, and then once you get it, you can recycle it over and over again with this guy, which is a pretty brutal combo if you can get this going, along with Heraklinos negating their spell traps. That just leaves us with the extra deck and the side deck. Like I said earlier, aside from the Gladiator Beast cards, everything else in here is just a matter of personal preference. I think it's good to have 1 Hope Harbinger, just because you can either get 2 Augustus on the field, or like Augustus with a Heraklinos. Maybe you don't have any cards in hand. It's better to make it into this so you at least have that spell negation. Other than that, though, just run whatever you feel like. As for the side deck, this is what I would actually recommend running. We have a lot of targeting, destruction, removal in the deck, so the side deck is meant to deal with stuff that's unaffected by that. Storming Mirror Force, non-targeting, non-destruction removal, Gamma-Sil for big monsters that are unaffected by things, and Cosmic Cyclone for those spell traps that you either can't or don't want to destroy. Other than that, we've got a couple extra copies of different Glad Beasts you may want to swap out for specific matchups, like Bestiari, put in a third copy if you're playing against heavy spell trap decks. And then there's other options for Ixies and Links, just in case specific scenarios require that you have one of these. And that's it for this week's deck. As always, if you want to see it in action, you can check out the link in the description or the link on the end screen. See the full episode where I play 10 duels against random opponents, see how this thing does. Otherwise, next week I'll be looking at something that uses a whole bunch of recently unbanned cards, which should be troll-tastic. Until then, good luck and have fun.